Is it really all our fault? If you speak with certain Westerners who wish to appear educated, if you speak as well with many who come from the Islamic sphere of influence, you will discover that the narrative, the story that is told, is that the West is the villain of the piece. It colonized half the world, and for that reason it is portrayed as the worst civilization one could possibly encounter. But is that truly the case? A voice crying in the wilderness. The dominant narrative within parts of the Western left arc, that portion of the West which despises itself, and therefore despises the West, is remarkably clear. One feels intelligent when speaking ill of the West, that is to say, of oneself. The notion that one must criticize one's own land, one's own country, one's own history, has become almost a moral duty for anyone wishing to seem enlightened. Our universities sadly continue to produce generations of young people who are taught, and therefore feel educated, when they repeat like parrots the tale that the West is evil, because it is the only civilization to have practiced colonialism, and that therefore the mission of the world must be to decolonize itself from the West. The problem is this: if we take a step back, if we rid ourselves of this residue of self-hatred, we discover that colonialism is not uniquely Western. It is an anthropological constant of civilization itself. Every civilization that acquires strength tends to expand. It may do so in different ways, but the objective remains the same: to enlarge its sphere of power. Colonies existed already in the age of ancient Greece. If you studied at school, you will remember Greek colonies in Anatolia, in what we now call Turkey. And if we look to more recent civilizations, we find that the West never held a monopoly on colonization. When Europeans arrived in the Americas, especially in the South, they encountered a continent already dominated by powerful empires, the Aztecs, the Maya, who had established fierce and often brutal systems of control, so much so that many local populations allied themselves with the Europeans in order to defeat the other colonizer. Yes, Europeans created colonies, but there were already colonies there. Consider the Ottoman Empire. It arose by conquering militarily another power, the Eastern Roman Empire, which we later called Byzantine. That was Eastern Christianity, Roman in origin, Greek in language. The Turks arrived from Asia, conquered Constantinople, and from there built a vast imperial system, stretching deep into Asia and across the Balkans. The Balkans, once part of the Christian world, became provinces of a new Muslim power. For centuries, Christian boys were taken, forcibly converted, and brought to serve the empire. Was that not colonialism? Was it not harsh and coercive? Think of the expansion of Islam itself. It spread through military conquest, accompanied by legal and fiscal mechanisms, special taxes for non-Muslims, marriage laws that pressured conversion. Through such structures it expanded, from Spain to Indonesia. Is that not colonialism? And yet, in our discourse, only the West bears the label. Consider modern China. Tibet was independent. China entered militarily, imposed its authority, encouraged demographic transformation, and gradually eroded Tibetan culture and religion. Is that not colonialism? And yet the word seems reserved for us. Japan, a noble nation, colonized Korea and parts of China, seeking to suppress Korean identity in the early 20th century. Is that taught with the same moral fervor? We could continue indefinitely. Whenever a civilization becomes powerful, it seeks expansion. It is inscribed in the logic of power itself. The West happened to become extraordinarily powerful. Perhaps the most powerful civilization in history, and therefore expanded widely. The Dutch in Indonesia, the British across continents, Expansion always serves interests. But what civilization lacks interests? Today, China builds infrastructure in Africa through debt mechanisms that create dependency. Russia expanded into Siberia, into the Caucasus, into Central Asia. This is not an accusation. It is a historical observation. The true reflection, therefore, is not about colonialism alone. It is about how the theme of colonialism is weaponized by those who oppose the West, both within and beyond it. Human history is a history of shifting balances of power. Civilizations rise, decline, and rise again. What should concern us is not endless self-flagellation, but understanding our present condition as Europe, as the West, and discerning what must be done for the future. Yes, terrible acts occurred in Algeria, in the Congo, elsewhere. Expansion carries violence. It is part of human nature. What troubles me is that we raise generations within a utopian illusion that violence does not exist, while other civilizations remain acutely aware that history is often struggle. We are told that all men are entirely good, that rules are unnecessary, that humanity is uniform and must be governed uniformly. Meanwhile, others advance. Perhaps it is time to confront the real enemy within, a cultural illness of self-destruction, encouraged by those who wish us ill. So I ask you, as Westerners, what do you think? Do Westerners exist who do not hate themselves? Who do not feel personally guilty for what Britain did in India? Who acknowledge wrongs, yet also recognize benefits? For instance, that we can communicate with millions of Indians today in English, because influence once expanded. Colonialism has a dark side, but like every historical process, it has produced complex outcomes. To reduce it to a slogan, colonialism equals evil, therefore the West equals evil, is neither realistic nor truthful. Let me know what you think. And as always, may God bless us all.